So I take a quick look at this Motorola radio. I showed this in another video. And the main problem with it is the AM works, the FM, everything on the dial is shifted down low. Like right there is 100. And that's it. It goes off the dial. And I think this station is like 107.1, so everything's shifted down about halfway. And I got the SAMs on this the other day, and what I wanted to do was try and align the, see if someone had adjusted the trimmer, which has got to be one of these here. Maybe their idea was they wanted to shift it down so they could go above the FM commercial band into the aircraft band. I don't know. I got my, this is an HP 8640 signal generator, and this is a badass piece of equipment. This thing will go from basically 400 kilocycles to 1 gigahertz, and it'll put out 1 watt. You can modulate it AM or FM, so you can actually use this as a straight out radio, low power radio station, put it on any frequency you want. It has inputs for FM modulation and AM modulation. You can adjust everything on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the power way back here. So the first thing I'm going to do is zero beat this with this station, just to get kind of a reference as to where I'm at. So I'll set the modulation FM to internal, 400 hertz. I just put a 400 hertz tone. 80, that's good. Doesn't really matter. Then we'll power negative 60, so we'll just crank this up. Exactly, so it's 107.1, which is what I thought. So 107 is about 100 on the dial. Let's take a quick look at the SAMs. By the way, this radio is 1966. This is a really interesting radio. It's got an FM RF amp, which is common. Then we got the FM converter, which is the FM oscillator. And basically the tuning gang is this thing here that's connected together by the dotted line. So we've got a 3-section tuning gang. We got one for the antenna here, one for the front of the oscillator, and then the actual oscillator speed. What I'm after is I want to play with this A17, this trimmer that's in parallel with the tuning gang, and see if someone turned that to try and change something. Let's take a quick look at the radio. It's pretty interesting how this is made. So FM oscillator converter, first FM IF amp, then second FM IF amp, AM converter. So this is kind of like an FM radio in front of an AM radio. So then we have first FM IF amp, first AM IF amp, third FM IF amp, second FM IF amp, God, let me try and get this right, second AM IF amp, fourth FM IF amp. You usually don't see a fourth FM IF amp in, this is I think the first radio I've ever seen that had 4 FM IF stages. 2 AM IF stages is kind of common on the better radios. So what I want to do, and then of course down here we got our audio output section. This is pretty interesting for a 66. I believe that is a variactor diode they're using for the FMAFC. That must have been pretty cutting edge in 1966. So I want to tweak this A17 and see how far I can shift. So I'm basically looking, these trimmers are 17, 18, and 19. So let me go up to the alignment. That was all the way at the top. FM alignment. Fashion a loop of several turns, connected generator, cross loop. Yeah, well, we got that. Okay. So everything else is 10.7 megahertz IF except 17, 18, and 19, which is what I'm looking at. So set FM set to 108 megacycles, which is at the top of of course, the high end. Set at high end, DC probe common to ground. That's if you're peaking it. I'm not really going to do that. That's checking the strength of the 400 hertz hum across the speaker, kind of like doing an AM alignment. And then adjust 17, 18, and 19 for maximum. I just want to really go after 17. Here's that little board right here. So that's 19 in the back, that right there. 18 is right there, and there's 17 right there. Okay, this should be easy. So the one all the way towards the front of the radio is the one I want to screw with. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to bump this up just a little bit. I'm going to bring it up to just about there. Let's see, I want to get into this one here. And I want to just turn this a little bit. Boy, and when they mean a little bit, I mean a little bit.
Si tienen un perro, es una buena excusa para ir a caminar.
Wow, that's a sensitive adjustment, so let me bring it up some more. Let me bring it up quite a bit. Wow, that's a sensitive adjustment. So let me bring it up a little bit more.
Be YOLO and we bout it every day. Hey, we on the bench, so we don't really play. Every day, what anybody say, can't see me.
Wow, I've almost got it. That's right on 108. So it was that easy. Get this.
We sitting on the bench,
from Muskogee.
Oh, yeah.
A place where even squares can have a ball.
There we go.
Constitution.
Okay, so let's bump this up to 108.
¿Cuándo me puedes pagar? No vas a la oficina. Debes los carros, debes la tarjeta de crédito. ¿Qué te van a decir? Pues vende tus carros, deshace tus carros y si puedes pagar la casa. ¿Entiendes? Pero estás muy negativo en tus ingresos y tienes demasiados gastos. Entonces no te van a querer ayudar. Si haces el capítulo 13, vas a eliminar esos gastos.
Now I've gone too far. I'm completely up off the
De
dial.
esa manera, como el inversionista ya no puedes tener tu propiedad porque estás protegido mediante el capítulo 13 que va a reorganizar todas tus deudas, te vas a quedar solamente con el mortgage de la casa y vas a pagar a 5 años lo atrasado. Entonces, ahí es cuando el inversionista te dice, bueno,
Is this the same guy or what?
acá. Y si tú vas... Mira,
It's where even squares can have a ball.
Maybe we'll just sit here for a little bit.
We still wave old glory down at the courthouse, by golly. And white lightning still the biggest thrill of all.
Should be 10.
We still wave old glory down at the
So that's got to be 105.1.
USA.
Okay, so we'll go back to 108.
Esta mañana todo, ¿no? Y yo lo que quisiera saber, ¿cuáles son los beneficios de hacer un capítulo 7?
El beneficio de hacer un capítulo 7 es, uno, ya vas a dormir tranquilo. No vas a tener llamadas, nadie te amenaza, nadie te va a demandar, nadie te va a congelar tus cuentas bancarias, te van a quitar de lo que esperas del IRS, de tus taxes, nadie te va a quitar el 25% de tu cheque.
Y si
Jesus is a sensitive adjustment.
como somos padres, pero no somos
Man, that's a sensitive adjustment.
tienen niños en guarderías o en escuelitas, es que
So let's
comuníquense
try
con la
this.
escuela, mencionándole que piensas de que me
Let's
gustaría darle
bring
esto a
this
mis
down to
hijos.
100.
Además, también niños pueden llevar sus almuerzos, sus entre comidas a la escuela. Es una forma en la cual ellos también pueden evadir las tentaciones que
Put this
pueden
right on
existir en la
100.
escuela. Y además, pueden ellos mantener y sostener su
They come down to 100
metabolismo,
here.
en el cual
Crank the power up a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty close. So let's go back to 108. Okay, 108. Now let's reduce the power down to where we just barely hear it. Bring it in here. Jesus, is that wide? You know, get it on the very edge, and I'm going to adjust the other two trimmers for peak. You could hear the sensitivity there. Boy, are those some sensitive adjustments. Wow. Just cut this off.
Featuring George, brought to you by Calvary Presbyterian Church in Glendale.
It's almost like it's like it's too sensitive, like it's overloading.
A catalog of our broadcasts.
Something's not right with this.
Just to say hello.
It doesn't sound right.
Not all trials are sent from God. I hope that makes sense. The third key.
On Los Angeles and Orange County, the sound of Southern California, and the Carefree Highway from Gordon Lightfoot.
Why is the noise so high?
Of peace, love, and Sunday mornings.
Yes, peace, love, and Sunday mornings.
Zone here. So, dude, you know what you need to do to get rid of the stress? It's to start talking really slow. Because stressed out people don't talk fast, do they? They slow down. As we go down somewhere, the crazy river. It's Robbie Robertson on the sound.
Gran venta.
Bonito 2008, un Prius, carrito híbrido, gasolina y eléctrico.
It's like it's just so overly sensitive, it just can't hang with.
Usted muy
The distant red neon ship. Stability.
El aire para.
Okay. This has got to be the weirdest problem I've ever seen with a radio. It's like it's super sensitive, but all it's picking up is noise, and the noise is overpowering the FM stations. I wonder if maybe this thing has those germanium transistors in it, doesn't it? No, those look like...
Of words and of thinking.
I wonder if someone screwed with that, because that, I don't know if you can see that little, here's my magnifying glass, that little red coil there is supposed to be 10.7 megahertz, and it's supposed to be minimized. See this sucker here, A15, 10.7 megacycle. Let me see. A15, adjust for minimum. So this is the front end. So that A15, come on, you slow thing. A15. A15 is this guy right here. I guess that's supposed to keep the IF out of the RF amp. Let me try. Okay, so any non-interfering position on the dial, which I'm just up at 108, will bump this down to 10.7 megahertz. Let's see. 10.7. I don't hear anything. Wow, you really have to... Jeez, it's putting almost 1 watt into it. Okay, so that doesn't seem to do anything. That's not a good sign. Huh. Seem to make any difference at all. Seems to work better all of a sudden though. I better get off this, get a copyright strike.
Life in food. Let me say that again. There's life in Mexican food, okay? There's life in that, all right? So you eat the chips and the salsa, and all that stuff, but there's life. Now, he says, hey, I just got one rule. Don't be a pig. Okay? Because if you just cram that stuff, you break God's law. You just eat. You're going to die. You're going to have to fall over a heart attack, age 34. That's what's going to happen to you. The next one is, you can't live unless you drink liquids. The body is 95% water, right? Some of us have more water than others, all right? But it's water.
Some cutting edge information there, man.
There's life.
Hey, it works. It's working good now all of a sudden. What? This one here appears to control that noise. And if you turn the sensitivity up too much, you get the noise. I'll show you here.
With support from the American Civil Liberties Union, the Nazis brought their case all the way to the Supreme Court. The court affirmed that the Nazis had the right to march under the First Amendment. David Hamlin headed the Illinois chapter.
And you can see that
it's a textbook case, without question. And it will be in textbooks, I'm sure, for years and years to come.
Hamlin was right. The Skokie case became a landmark, proving that even speech...
Also, another weird thing I saw with this is if you put the antenna down... Well, now it's not doing it, but sometimes the oscillator will stop running at the bottom of the band.
Professor at New York
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on NPR here, put the antenna down.
Attention to a startling fact. The United States is the only liberal democracy in the world without some version of hate speech regulations. He argues that hate speech is toxic. Some of it should be illegal. And a note here, some of the language in our conversation is disturbing.
It's rather like a form of insidious pollution of the social and political environment. I would also want to emphasize that it's not just the issue of offensiveness to the people who are the targeted audience. There's also the creation of fear, apprehension, not to mention having nightmares reawoken. In Europe, those include nightmares of anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. In the United States, even though we don't have such laws, we still have the nightmares of racism and racial terrorism.
How do you know hate speech? How do you define it?
It's usually defined, first of all, in terms of its intention. that it's speech which is intended to cause the stirring of hatred and hostility towards a particular group. That's not enough on most definitions. They also insist that it must be likely to generate such hatred and hostility. Thirdly, the speech must be offered in a threatening...
Okay, so to summarize in 33 seconds, this is the most sensitive radio I've ever seen. It's just the sensitivity is out of control. And peak sensitivity is not the best. So, I mean, I can take and I can crank this thing on the upper end of the band, and it, listen to this. This is with the antenna down, so if I peak that, I get the noise. It's the end of the video. I'm out of time, I think. So I'm just going to set it for what the best sound quality and sensitivity balance are. Okay, so a quick summary here. The FM band was shifted down. I suspected that the previous owner might have adjusted the oscillator trimmer to shift it down so he could receive in maybe the aircraft band. I corrected that. The SAM says to align to peak all three trimmers because it's a 3-gang tuning capacitor for 108 megahertz. I did that. I get a super high noise floor when I do that. This is a 4 IF stage FM receiver, which is something I've never seen before, Motorola. And so I went back, and I'm back on 108 megahertz here, and I went back and I did it the way the SAMs did. I re-peaked them all, and then I was, let's go back down to
the humans once did. Now.
Okay, so now I'm back down to where if I push the antenna down, the oscillator stopped running.
Whatever you have. With 100%. Not everyone wants related. Because remember, I told them they can ask for anything they want.
Anything. We can stop at kpfk.org. We have some business to take care of. Our exclusive, as I promised, exclusive information pertaining to the November election. Not the June election, but the November election. And last week...
Man, that is a...
Willard running.
Man, that is a sensitive adjustment. You know what?
Whatever he may be. Group, a long traditional group of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. And they sing, they're volunteers, and they change all the time.
This is with the antenna down.
And it's a Mormon Tabernacle
the Mormon
Choir.
Tabernacle.
And Willard said, you've got your spirituality, be sure to do something for the...
So if I put the antenna up, it just overloads and the noise floor comes up. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just leave it super sensitive and kind of adjust it with the antenna.
You might remember.
This right here is a station broadcasting out of Mexico on Channel 6 television, old NTSC, and they're broadcasting in the TV signal they're broadcasting on. I think it's 80. I don't remember. Anyway, they got a full multiplex stereo signal in the channel 6, so they cover both FM and it's a religious thing. That's how sensitive this radio is. The sensitivity on this radio is just sick.
So this to play
Works better with the antenna down on the stronger stations because it just overloads.
Yeah. Log on to Don't Be Broke. Personas se sienten. We, you indeed, you unkindly alone of the Lord's heritage.
Anyway, thank you for tolerating my insanity.